So I'm going to stream it live on YouTube, which is what you're probably seeing there, Alicia.
Okay.
Remove, read, and allow Choya. Right, good to go. Reveal. That out of the way. That out of the way.
Morning, Joya.
Yeah. What you're probably seeing there. All right. That dialed in. Boom. Okay. Choya, what's up, man? You're muted. You're still muted.
There we go.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, just it's a lot of programming and project work this week, and then I'll be heading down to Chattanooga next week. So
There you go.
that's
There you go, man. So, all right, let me press the record button here. All right, welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Business Doctor Show. John Pyron, the Business Doctor, back in action here. Back from actually, yeah, I think it was about a 2-week vacation. Choya, what do you think, man? You guys did all right while I was gone?
hey, we kept breathing, kept doing good. You look like you got quite the tan there, bud.
That's what I keep being told. Of course, since I see myself every day, I don't see it, but that's what I've been told is I'm a little darker,
A little bit.
which is fine. That just means I'm more handsome than I was before I left. You know,
I think he's trying to give me a run for my money, Troya.
Yeah,
that's
well,
it, man.
that's going to be a
That's it.
marathon. So
That's it. So, anyways, yeah, no, it was good to be gone, completely unplug.
reset
You know,
button.
if you're listening to the podcast lot show, either in the next week or two, or years from now, one of the things that I was able to do, and got a perfect timing for Lance to be here as our guest today, because ultimately you got to stress test your business. You got to get your business to the point where you can completely unplug, and you don't let your team know until the very last minute. And so what I purposely did is I waited till, I think, Alicia, it was like the day before, where I got me, Alicia, and one of my project managers on a live Zoom call. I was at the resort, my last official call before I completely turned off my cell phone, computer, everything, and created a situation that John got hit by a bus. And so let's see if the business is around when I get back type thing. So literally went off, got on a cruise ship, did not do the Wi-Fi thing, um, turned off the phone, no access, no checking in, no, I wonder if everything's going okay. Um, Now I will be honest, as I got into one port, I think it was Puerto Rico, and I got cell service. And I found myself, I clicked on my email button on my phone, and I'm like, whoa, time out, stop. And I clicked it off. I'm like, I can't know. I can't know, man. Put it away, turn it off. Danger, Will Robinson. You know? And so but it just goes to show you, when you're involved in your business, you're knee deep into the business. Um, if the business can't, the more the business depends on you, the less valuable your business actually is. And so that kind of, you know, leads into another discussion. Choya, is talk to us about what's the latest in IBN, Incredible Business Networks. What's going on these days with IBN? give
Well,
everybody an update real quick, please.
we just had our fourth annual Incredible Business Speed Networking, which is our large signature half-day event in Knoxville. And we're excited about upcoming events in June in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and September in the Tri-Cities. And while I'm in Chattanooga next week, I'm going to be laying the foundation for a Chattanooga edition of Incredible Business Speed Networking. So really excited about that. Rita will probably might be the first ticket. I can see the enthusiasm there, so that's exciting. We're exciting. I know we're working on some things that you and I have been discussing to grow, and just excited for what the future has coming. So,
Yeah. And so now we're up to how many chapters do you have now total?
we're just under 70 right now.
Okay. 70 chapters with an average
Couple more.
attendance of.
Couple more in discussion. We see between 8 and 20. It just really depends on the location and whether or not it's spring break or a snowstorm going on. But 12 to 20 is pretty average. So
Sure. Got it. Okay. And so for the audience, especially the ones listening to the podcast and the ones that are going to be watching this on YouTube, how do they plug into IBN?
really simple. You can just go to incrediblebusinessnetworking.com, or if you simply Google free business networking in your area, if we're there, we're going to show up all over page one. Really easy to find. Just ask other people in your area and where we are. Where our core markets going from east to west are Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, Asheville, Western North Carolina, the Tri-Cities, Tennessee, Southwest Virginia area, Knoxville, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Huntsville, Alabama. And we are discussing and working on other areas as we speak. So currently, that's where we're
Awesome.
located and where you can find events. If you would like to start meetings in your area, then we do have some criteria for that. So if you're a motivated person, motivated entrepreneur, networker, get in touch with us at contact@incredibletowns.com, and we'd love to have that discussion with you.
Awesome. Awesome. And so for those of you that are new to this conversation, maybe you've never been on a live show. One of the biggest benefits of joining a live show every single Monday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time, whatever you choose, is you get to ask whatever question you want. We always have a guest speaker here today. I'm going to introduce Lance here in a minute, and we're going to have a dialogue back and forth with Lance, and then we're going to open it up to whoever's here live. You got to have your video on, and we're going to call on you, and you can address Lance with whatever question you want on the topic of the day or whatever challenge or opportunity that you have in your business. This is a place for you to get live coaching, consulting. I don't know, I'm up to 1,998 business owners now that I've worked with. Probably, I don't know, 16,000 sessions of really, really good on the fly. And so I'd love somebody to stump me with a business challenge that I can't handle. The more complicated the business challenge, the better. And so let's have some fun today. So the call is broken up into 4 segments, and 4 times a year there's a 5th Monday, which we happen to have this month. So we always like to cover the 4 pillars of business. First week of the month is marketing, then we have sales, then we have operations and systems, and today is the 4th Monday, talking about finance, anything to do with finance when it comes to business. And then on the next Monday, it's just going to be a live Q&A show, and we go as long as the audience wants to mastermind and strategize. So this call goes all the way back to 2013. If you're not subscribed to the podcast channel, the new podcast channel, I believe, Alicia, is the Business Doctor podcast channel. And then the old one is 10X Business Owners, 10X Mastermind Group. You can get all the archives there going all the way back to 2013. Highly recommend you go and look at episode number 4, because I interviewed Ben Gay III, Napoleon Hill's best friend, and we're getting ready to go into April and go back and listen to the episode on Clean Slate. It's going to be a great month going into April and a new quarter. So let me talk to you about Lance Evans here. His tagline is, "Let me help you get money, save money, and protect your money." Lance is a member of an elite national advisory firm dedicated to helping clients and business owners strategically minimize taxes and grow their wealth in an efficient and tax favorable manner. He is committed to providing guarantees and protections that empower his clients to achieve their freedom or to achieve their financial goals. Where am I at? Oh, there it is. As a hometown banker and insurance professional, Lance is passionate about making a positive impact in the community and is always eager to connect others and collaborate with others. So, Lance, do me a favor and take a moment, fill in the gaps of anything I left out, and share with us something personal about yourself.
Well, thanks a lot, John. I appreciate you allowing me to be here today. Like I said, I'm an easygoing guy. I really enjoy helping clients out. Like I said, I've been a banker for close to 10 years, been in the insurance industry for 25 plus, and it's all about helping clients out for me. I enjoy traveling. You talked about the cruise. I've been cruising since I was 12 years old. So I love
Oh,
cruises, and that's definitely talking my language right there.
man, I went on my first cruise like I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago with our exchange kids, and I was 50. Wait, let's see, I'm 56 now, so I was 53. And I'm going, why have I not been doing this all my life? This is like the easiest, most fun way to
Best.
vacation.
It's
Oh
the
my
best.
gosh, um, so here we are knee deep into tax season. Okay. And we got a couple of we got one, two, three, four, five, myself included, six business owners here. And so, what are some tax favorable solutions that can help business owners plan for their kids? That's one of the questions that we wanted to discuss today, right? So,
Yeah,
talk to us about
absolutely.
that.
Well, Forbes magazine mentioned, business owners 80 to 90% pay too much in taxes. So tax strategy is very, very important for business owners. And some of the strategies that most business owners are familiar with for, helping their kids out. We've heard of 529 plans. Great option to have. It has to be a good fit. There are limitations to that. So as a strategic, financial strategists, I look at other areas that individuals or business owners can use to get some more tax benefits that might be a lot more flexible. And so when it comes to kids, there's a tax strategy that you can actually pay your kids uh, close to 15,000 annually. And again, I'm not a tax strategist, I'm not a CPA, but a lot of my clients that I help with these particular strategies are able to utilize this benefit. But when you are able to write off paying your kids to get a tax benefit, then what I do is I implement insurance so that they can put that money into an insurance benefit so that they can use that money for down the road. Now, the difference is you're not limited on what you can use that money for. So that's number one. Number two, the money also grows tax favorably. And then when they need to use the money, it's also tax free or tax favorable as well. So it's just a good way to really provide a solid foundation for the kids down the road because let's face it, life happens. If you can make it to college and everything, that's great. But what if you want to get married? What if you want to start your own business? What if you want to buy a new car or buy a home? This particular strategy utilizing insurance can really provide a strong way to help those kids, when they reach those particular ages to be able to do that. And then the byproduct is, that kid by the time they're 60 or so, now that they've got, a couple of $1 million that they can use to supplement their retirement as well. So it's just a great strategy that provides, benefits now and into the future for the client.
Yeah, no, it's one of the. I mean, when what was it 2017? The Tax Reform Act, right? And it used to be that your kid had to be, I think it was like 7.5 years old in order to be able to put them on payroll. And with that restructure of that tax plan, it was shocked when I read it. It's actually zero now. You know,
Exactly.
the kid the kid doesn't even have to
Straight out of the
walk
womb.
to be able to be a write-off now. And it's not just because one thing that excited me when I was 20 years old and I started my first company, and I found out when I was 24, two different tax structures in this country is one for business owners and one for employees. And as an employee, you go to work and you get, you earn a gross wage, and then they rip you off with taxes, and they literally borrow money from you for a whole year at zero interest, and then you get to survive on what's left over, and then you get this thing called a tax refund. And now you try it the other way around, right, where you don't pay them for a year,
Oh,
okay,
it's game over.
and they're going to not only charge you interest and penalties, right?
Right.
But the other way around, you get your money back with no interest at all. And then you got the other thing, which is as a business owner, even if you're an employee, if you're an employee making that 100,000 or even 50,000 a year, you should definitely start a side hustle business, and that gives you some tax write-offs because now
Exactly.
you're a self-employed individual, so you earn income, you spend it all legally through loopholes, and depending on your entity, it'd be as high as 135 different deductions. And if there's any money left over, then you pay taxes. And so one of the things that you're talking about here is probably the best loophole ever, is get your kids involved in the business. I have a client of mine, Nitsa Medina Garcia. She's been in business. She's been a client of mine for 10 years now. And when we started working together, she was 6 months into her company. Now she's got 10 years. The daughters were 1 and 2.5 at the time.
Oh, wow.
Now the daughters are, one just turned 13, the other one, so that makes the other one 11 and 1/2. And the bottom part of the fridge has always been their dream board. That's been their business vision board. and,
That's
and
awesome.
and being involved in mom and dad's business, but they've been on payroll, um, gosh, I don't know, 5, 6 years old, you know? And you can give them up to 12 grand a year tax free. Now the business portion of that, and an additional 6 grand in an IRA, and put in your hands to help them plan with. So 18 grand a year is what you can write off for each individual child, not to mention the Augusta rule and everything else. So when you
Those are
talk
all
about
great
insurance,
strategies.
say that again.
I said those are all great strategies.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you talk about, let me look at this other thing. Okay, what are some tax favorable ways to make business owners' revenue or savings more efficient and tax advantaged?
So, again, John, a lot of times we're just programmed to do certain things. You put money here, you put money there. Understanding how all that flows and works is very, very important. And so, again, I do a lot with strategies that, not only use the market because I've got access to wealth management firms to help in those particular scenarios, but also insurance. A lot of times insurance is overlooked on a lot of things. There's plenty of IRS code that you can utilize in insurance so that you can minimize your tax burden. So when it comes to revenue for business owners, and making their money more efficient, there are some ways that we can structure insurance so that paying that insurance is an expense, which is provides a tax benefit for the business owner. But then, how are we making that money work for them? There's only, a handful of places per se that you can put your money. You can put your money in a bank, you can put your money in the market, you can do qualified funds. But, there are pros and cons to a lot of those different things. And so sometimes it might tie up your money. Sometimes, you could take some losses. Maybe you don't get any growth. But a lot of times when we utilize insurance, then we can make a lot of that money grow tax free. And then when the business owner needs to use that money, again, they're able to use it tax free. But one of the big things that we're also helping business owners take advantage of is not losing out on their principal. And that's huge because you can't really grow money if your principal is always going up and down. you can get barely any interest at the bank. If you have your money in the market, when you pull money out, you lose opportunity because now you don't have as much invested. But when you have
Yeah.
these insurance benefits, you've got a lot of things that are, providing strong structure for your money on a tax favorable side. But then on another scenario, your money is legally protected in these particular scenarios. And as a business owner, that's huge because we live in a litigious society. So any way that you can protect and provide layers for your business, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. And so talk to me about before I open it up for live Q&A here is all of us, let me look on the screen here. Every single one of us on here are self-employed. Okay. And all of us, yeah, I would think all of us, I don't know everybody's business here intimately, but most business owners, the business is self-reliant on them. Okay. So talk to us about the importance of having key man insurance and what that actually is.
E-man insurance is definitely important if you've got partners or you've got important key individuals helping your business out. I just helped out a client in Texas. Um, they've invested a lot in a particular individual that's doing a lot for their business. Well, they wanted to put key man or key person insurance in place because, they've invested a lot in this individual. They want to make sure that they, get their money back per se. But having a key man policy is very important because particularly if you have partners in that business, because if one partner goes down, what are you going to do? How are you going to
Yeah.
keep things going? And, a lot of people think, well, I can still keep the business moving and this and that. But, you're running a business. You got to hire right people, the good people that you need to. What are you going to do to try to bring in good people? And there's going to be some wonkiness during that process if a key person or a key partner is not in the equation anymore. So,
Yeah.
having a key man insurance, just kind of make sure that you've got some cushioning if something happens, that partner's no longer in the picture and you can keep the business moving, in place for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and it's not that expensive either. And so,
No,
but
just
a lot of
depends.
us business owners don't think in terms like that. I have a client of mine right now. I told him about this. Oh God, 3 years ago. And I'm like, hey man, if something happens to your partner, okay, because he's getting up there in age, dude.
Right.
Okay, and you guys have been in business for 21 years. And literally he's already showing signs of wanting out. Like he's made it known and his age is starting to affect him, but there's certain key aspects to your company, dude, that if he gets hit by a bus, something happens, has a heart attack, whatever, anything can happen. It's going to really hurt.
It's gonna
Okay.
hurt.
Unless you got, 75, 80 grand sitting around in a bank account somewhere, it's going to be very expensive to replace him. And kept ignoring it, ignoring it, ignoring it, ignoring it, ignoring it. It was only going to cost, I think I had it quoted one time, it was like $365 a month or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
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 for
for if they're younger, I mean, it's gonna be way less too.
yeah,
Uh,
oh yeah. And
it,
so
it's super
no, no, no,
inexpensive.
wouldn't listen. And sure enough, I was on vacation. I come back and he's completely I
Oh man.
can't get the guy to like he just is not able to perform anymore. And I'm like, no problem. I'm gonna have Alicia because Alicia owns this company called Turner Recruiting and Consulting. And she's Johnny on the spot of being able to find great talent in a very fast manner, but
Right.
it's still going to be very painful. You
Exactly.
know,
It's gonna be a long
all that
process.
intellectual property in that dude's head is
It's
now
invaluable.
with him,
Yeah.
and the amount of money it's going to take and the pain in the butt it's going to take. And I'm like, I'd love to sit back and how do I want to say this? it's not a case of I told you so. It's like, okay, now it's going to be very expensive for me to help you. Okay.
Right. And
My
that's
fee's
where
not going to change. I'm going to help you through the fire anyways, brother.
yeah,
It's going to get, we don't know. Here's the key.
you
We
don't
don't
know.
know as business owners. We really, really don't. Everything is going smooth
Until
and
it's
so
not.
forth. And the next thing you know, something happens.
Right. And that's why planning is so important. And that's why,
Yeah.
the name of my business is Legacy Life Planning. Because if you don't plan, you plan to fail. And so, a lot of times when you are incorporating a lot of these strategies with insurance, whether it's Keyman or building banks utilizing insurance policies, it's going to do nothing but help your business out, provide those protections and guarantees that I talked about that can, keep things afloat and keep you moving the way that you need to in your business.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. All right, so let's kind of go to let me go to the chat window here, see if there's any questions there waiting for us. Alicia,
Yeah, Rita has asked a couple of really great questions.
let's do it.
So Rita has
Right.
asked, does this only apply to your child or can it apply to your grandchild?
Talking about the putting your kid on payroll, that is
Mhm.
immediate family.
Yes.
So it has to be your own child
Yes.
only.
Yeah.
Got it.
What if a grandparents, what if a grandparents taking care of the child?
Well, if they're the guardian, then that seems like that would
Well,
fit.
if you're the legal guardian, then that would
Okay.
count as an immediate child.
And then, of course, utilizing insurance in that scenario, you can still do that regardless. If it's a grandchild, you can pay for that. You can be the owner, and then when the grandchild is of whatever age, then they can reap the benefits. The client that I helped out in Florida here recently, put it on their child. Of course, he's getting the benefits of the payroll situation too. But by the time the kid's 20 years old, he's going to have like $350,000 available to do something, and then by the time the kid's like 60 something, over $2 million that they'll be able to utilize.
How
So
does
we could use
Keyman
that
Insurance help?
oh,
Go ahead.
well, I was just going to add on question. So you could look at that to see if that insurance is better than a 529 or because college, I'm thinking by the time they're 18, they have plenty of money for college.
You would think, but
Okay.
if you're doing a 529, it's limited. So I mean, it's
Right.
strictly for college. So
Right.
the strategy that I utilize adds more flexibility, for the clients. So they want to buy a home, get a car, get married, go to
Right.
college, they can still do all those things.
Got it.
Yeah, seems like it'd be a whole lot plan for sure.
Rita had asked another question too. Does Keyman Insurance help when the key person is gone?
Well, but how does it help? Like there's money, but then what does like, is it just money?
For hiring?
Oh, for
Yeah,
hiring?
it helps with everything, hiring, keeping the business moving,
Oh, okay.
handling expenses, because or if you're trying to hire, get another key person, there's bonuses maybe you want to try to do, but it's just going to give you that additional cash to keep things moving because that other person's not there
Got it.
to pick
So
up.
is it only if the key person dies or if they're incapacitated somehow?
Well, it just depends because there's
Got
some scenarios where if they have like a chronic or critical illness, then there's some benefits that they can take advantage of to get cash to handle that. But yeah, if one passes away, then that keeps the other individual whole.
Great information. Thank you.
So a question, because I've helped a lot of plumbing companies, and we have a plumbing company on this live call.
Mhm.
And one of the key things is her and her husband are business partners. Okay. And he's, out in the field, along with probably other plumbers, right? Okay. Something happens to him, he gets injured, for example. Okay. Gets a hand injury. Not able to drive, what type of insurances should they have in place to protect from the loss of his ability to perform?
So there are some other plans out there. It's on the insurance side that, you can get to supplement income if they get hurt. Just depends on, what the scenario is, but it's supposed to supplement, based on their income, what they typically get. If someone's making $10,000 a month, it may not cover the full 10,000, but you might get 8,000 or, something like that. But again, there's policies that you can put in place that does cover should someone get hurt and, supplement the income since they're not able to work.
Great,
so
yes,
what
we
other
have that.
what other questions? What other questions do you have?
I have a question actually regarding the 15,000 for the kids. Now we have a daughter that's 15 and a son that's 19. The 19-year-old is in the Marine Corps and he's getting married in a week and a half. So is that someone that we could still implement this with, or since he's not really going to be a dependent anymore, is that not really a deal?
Well, I mean, again, so the child's no longer living with you. They're in the Marines.
Yep.
I mean, they're also probably at an age too that they can do some things. But again, you could still put a policy on them and be the owner of that policy.
Okay. Okay.
And, so there's ways of doing it, but, from a tax strategy scenario, maybe not so much. But, if you want to have something in place to help them for down the road, I recommend, business owners doing that, in general, period, for your kids, because, setting them up where they're in a better position when they're older is only going to help them out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions for Lance? Bueller? Anybody? Bueller? Yeah, I just watched Ferris Bueller the other day, man. I was like, Bueller. And
It's interesting with the plumbing company there. I've got a lot of clients that are contractors, and so I actually talked to one today because he built one of those banking policies that his premium is deducted for tax write-off, and then the money that he puts into the policy grows tax free. He's able to pull it out tax free. But the big thing he was excited about was because he has to put a new gate for his business. It's going to cost him $10,000. So his option is he could just pay for it himself out of his bank account, but then his principal drops and he's already not making a whole lot of money in the bank anyway. Or he could, put it on a credit card or something like that, but then you're going to get beat up on interest in that scenario. Or you could pull it from the market, but then you're going to lose opportunity as far as growth because now your market money has dropped. So with this policy that he's put into place, that $10,000 he's able to pull from the policy, pay for that gate, but yet his principal is not interrupted, and he's gaining more interest than in the bank. His money's legally protected, and so he's just turning flips because he's able to make that purchase with uninterrupted growth, and that's very, very hard to do. And that's the power of these strategically designed policies that we do that provides those additional tax benefits.
And what are those policies called exactly?
So if you want to look for a name, it's called Infinite Banking.
Okay.
But they are strategically designed whole life policies that provide guarantees and growth. Not every insurance carrier can do it, and not every design team knows how to make it efficiently. So that's why you need to, talk with a professional that's all they do is those types of things. So, but they work. I've got them for myself. I've paid off numerous debts, and now we've got some business owners that now they lend money out to other people and make money because they've got the money there and they're able to make investments with uninterrupted growth. So it's just a nice way to be able to have some efficiency of your cash and be able to have it work for you and not for everybody else.
Yes. So with this money that you would be paying out to the kids, could you put that money into those policies?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense.
So, Lance, if somebody wanted to, and this is for benefit of someone watching the podcast later, if somebody wanted to learn more about infinite banking or tax strategy, what's the best way they can get in touch with you to get a consultation on these things?
Real easy. They can just call me directly. You can go to my website, email me, or any of my social media platforms. But like I said, it's something that we definitely need to sit down and talk. It's designed specifically for the business owner, for the individuals, so it's not a cookie cut type scenario.
Okay, and if you just mention your website real quick for everybody.
Okay, so my website's pretty simple. It's LegacyLifePlanningLance.com.
Okay.
LegacyLifePlanningLance.com.
Awesome.
And phone number 423-341-8601, right?
Correct.
And Rita, you have a question?
Yes. So I heard you say a phrase I've never heard before, and that was instead of saying tax free, you said tax favorable. What is the difference?
Well, anything that's tax favorable just means you can take advantage of it. Tax free, when money's growing in those policies, you're not being taxed. When you pull money out of those policies, you're not being taxed.
Okay, so it's exactly the same thing, tax free, tax
Nah,
favorable? No?
not necessarily the same thing, but
Okay.
it just means that you're able to take advantage of tax scenarios. So it's a tax favorable scenario.
And it varies by which product, and everything varies. Okay.
Everything, whether it's 401k, IRA, SEP, all those things. It varies as far as the tax implication that's going to happen for the client, or insurance, annuities, whatever it is. It's going to vary. Real estate. So.
Thank you.
So one thing, real quick question for you is I have some clients that have been I introduced to Mike Michalowicz and his Profit First program many years ago. And I've got 3 clients, Alicia, that just remind me I need to get a hold of. One of them is literally probably sitting on about $300,000-$400,000 in just their profit account. Okay, so the Profit First system, if you're not familiar with Profit First, get the book, go to Profit First, look up Mike Michalowicz. It's an incredible finance and accounting system for small business owners. And
that's a great book. Like, phenomenal book.
Phenomenal, man. And so I put a client of mine on that system many years ago. And I think he'd been with me for about 6 years. And they've just been dogmatic about following it, And for those of you, real quick readers summary is money comes into a deposit account, and based off of the percentage allocations that you have, a certain amount goes to owner's comp, a certain amount goes to profit, a certain amount goes to taxes, a certain amount goes to operations, and so forth. And then once a quarter, you do what's called profit distribution back to yourself as a business owner. And it's only 50% of what you put in there for that calendar quarter. The remaining 50% stays in there and grows. Well, ultimately, those accounts start blowing up, right? And so talk to me about, because I'm going to introduce you to these guys, because I think they're a perfect fit. Is there's a way to pull a bunch of that money out there, park it into an insurance product.
Absolutely. You're already where I'm at.
But from what I understand, they need to park it in there for at least a year before they can start borrowing from it, possibly.
No.
So anyways, if you're how do I want to say this is let's just say you're talking to them right now. What are some of the things that you could do with money just sitting around like that? Because the whole purpose of the Profit First account and the profit account is that your rainy day fund, that's your investment fund, et cetera. It builds reserves for the company automatically.
Exactly. And that's really the ideal scenario. Like I said, I'm very familiar with that book because I was at an advisory conference and they talked about that very book and how, it's just perfect for helping business owners to be able to make sure that money is going where it needs to go and to take care of everything. So in that particular scenario, that's perfect because now you're able to put that money, the excess, into these policies that it's going to always grow. That's the best thing about it. It's never going to drop. It's never going to be affected by the market. The insurance company is going to typically provide dividends. The companies I represent been around close to 200 years, so they know how to manage money. And so when clients are able to put their money into these things, protect their money, because FDIC is only protected to 250. Well, if you got 400, well, if you got 500, what do you do other than just chop it up? But they can put it in these policies. And if they need to invest in something, I've got a ton of investors that they'll take, 50, 80, 100 grand out to handle investment property, you know, and then while they've taken that money out, their principal's still growing at the interest it's growing at. They've now purchased the property that they're going to get an ROI on, and then they just flow that money back into the policy, but now they made money on both ends. Whereas you
Yeah.
lose that if you get a loan or you use some other options to do that. So it's just a perfect way to, again, it's not a retirement, you know, um, situation that it's going to just cure everything for. That's where you need to put your money for retirement. It's a strategy that just helps make your money more efficient, more tax favorable, because it will grow and you won't have any tax implications based on the design, because we can design it to where it becomes a MEC, what they call a modified endowed contract, and then you're taxed on the gains. It's just a little more aggressive, but being taxed on the gains is not a bad thing. But typically, when we do these strategies of these policies, they're not meked out. So there won't be any tax implications on it.
Yeah, exactly. Any comments or questions about what we just talked about? No?
This
Okay.
is such great, valuable information. Thank you, Lance, for
Yeah.
all of this.
So
Happy for
what
you.
I would recommend back in, I think it was 1999, I had the opportunity and the privilege to share the same stage with Robert Kiyosaki. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Rich Dad
That's
Poor Dad
awesome.
guy. Okay. Cash flow quadrant guy. And one of the things that really intrigued me about him is his strategies. Like all of us business owners, we need to have multiple advisors. And so whether you have a financial strategist, tax strategist, even if it's your closest living, breathing relative and you trust them with everything, my advice would be to have Lance come in and at least give you a second opinion. Okay. And so again, you can get a hold of him at legacylifeplanninglance.com or 423-341-8601. Highly recommend get a hold of him, schedule an appointment, get a second opinion. It's always, 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 always good to get a second opinion. That's why when I tell business owners, it doesn't matter if I've told this to business owners since I learned the hard way in 2000, what was it, 2001? No, 2003. I got audited in 2002, 3, and 4 were subject to that. Had a great bookkeeper, had everything, thought I
See?
was golden, and learned the hard way. You need to have a checks and balances in place with your business finances, because
Absolutely.
I wasn't a bookkeeper. I wasn't an accountant. I just took them at their word that they were doing it all right. And that was a very painful lesson,
Right.
and so
I'm,
this
I'm glad you
uncapped
I'm glad you said that, John, because what's good about me is I'm not here to replace their professionals. You
Yeah.
keep your CPA, you keep your banker, keep your attorney, keep all those professionals, but what I do actually makes what they do even better. And once the business owner understands that I'm not trying to, take their pros per se or whatever, then it's just an amazing scenario where, everybody wins. And that's the type of scenario that we all want. Win-win for the client, for the professionals, everybody working together to make sure that the client's in good shape.
Absolutely. And so kind of close it out, you need a team. You need a good solid bookkeeper. Okay. And until you get to about $3 million a year in revenue, you do not need a CPA at this point. Okay. You need another really good rock solid accountant bookkeeper to double check your current bookkeeper. Okay. And then you need a good solid tax strategist. And at minimum, first week of October, second week of October, again, middle of December, every single year, like clockwork, you want to meet with your tax professional. Then you want to meet with somebody like Lance, which can look at it from a holistic standpoint. But those are really the 4 key people you need in your business. And before you file 2025's tax return, make sure you have another tax professional look over your 2022 return before you close the door on that year, because you never know, you most likely overpaid. Okay.
Yep, very
And
much.
friends don't let friends over. Okay? Just so we're clear. So one of the best strategies you can ever implement, and this is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over your business lifetime, what I'm about to tell you, one of the best pieces of advice I've received: always file an extension. Always have a second opinion about your oldest tax year before you close the door on it. And you will most likely guarantee that you're not overpaying the government. Okay. I can't tell you how many people I've ran that strategy with that have become new clients just to discover they have been overpaying like one guy, $385,000 he overpaid over a 3-year period of time. It was sick. It was really sad, actually. But once you put that checks and balances system in place, unless you're an accountant and you can read 40,000 pages of tax code, probably have overpaid. And so it's always good to have second opinions, always good to have second pieces of advice. And I had a chance to meet Lance here in person when we were at a speed networking event 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I was super excited, Choya, that you said, hey man, Lance is available.
Yeah.
And so thanks for coming on the show, brother. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And I'm looking
Really
forward to
appreciate
connecting
it.
with you. Everybody here and anybody listening to this recording or watching it on YouTube, definitely comment on the show, share it with people, and go out and make it happen. And if you're interested in connecting with me, the Business Doctor, the reason they've called me the Business Doctor is because I have a team of people like Alicia, who's my triage nurse, if you will. And I've got other people that will definitely ask you a bunch of questions before you even talk to me. And I only need about 10 minutes. Once I know everything I need to know about, I only need 10 minutes to solve your number one business problem. Don't need to even hire me to do that. Definitely get on my calendar, go to johnpyron.com, click on book appointment, and schedule a 10 to 15-minute appointment with me. And we'll see if we like one another and see if it makes sense to work forward beyond that. Okay, go out and make it happen, guys. We'll see you next week. Same time, same bat channel. It's going to be Q&A week. Okay, 4 times a year. Bring your toughest business problems and challenges. Share it with your other business owners. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a blessed day.